Good afternoon, and I'm sorry about the short notice, but there really wasn't much time, and something urgent came up, and I thought the earlier we dealt with it, the better. I'll move on to the issue of violence, but violence of a very special kind. Some people call it insecurity, violence, whatever it is anyway. We're living in a permanent state of violence. But there's a difference with this particular kind of violence, and it's a difference which makes the failure of governance in this nation a responsibility of the international community. All right, so up till now we've been saying, ask for help. This thing is beyond you. The failures started a long time ago, so nobody is saying it's you who started it. But of course, your incompetence, your failure has also escalated it, like every other leader we've had. But we're saying, ask for international help. It's been proved beyond your capacity, your capability. But in addition, it's an issue which can legally be taken as an international responsibility. And this is why I wish to commend the association, the Human Rights Association, which brought out this book. Because it states, it deals not merely, in great detail with the victims of violence, where, when, including names, family, etc., tabulate villages, the hectares which are being lost, the arbitrary disposal of humanity. But it goes further and says and proves that this, what is happening now, really is not a question of begging. It has become an international responsibility. In other words, that the international community is really obliged to take action since there is failure on the part of the governance to fulfill its obligations under United Nations Charter, to which it's a signatory. In this case, the issue of genocide. In other words, what this book says, and I agree with it, is that we have been living here side by side with actions which are unambiguously genocide. Let me read one or two of the protocols here which qualify for some of these events to be called genocide. Among the actions, the activities which qualify genocide to be called genocide: 1, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group. All right? C, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. But finally, of the several there, the part which concerns me most: forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. I wish to repeat that. Forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. Where are the Chibok girls? Where are the school pupils of the Ahmadiyya school? Where are the school pupils of the Bethel school? I think that's the Bethel, where some of them were released recently. How do we describe the targeting of children who are now being taken and transferred? They are a group, a recognized group. There are charters for the protection of children, UN charters, responsibilities which we all have towards children as a group. But what do we do when these conditions, these articles are violated repeatedly, and all we do is celebrate weddings? It means that that nation has failed to live up to its responsibilities under United Nations laws. And I really commend this organization for bringing this fact to attention. It's something we've been working on, in fact, in different ways, talking directly to governments, pleading with them to bring the issue of child kidnapping and forced repatriation to the attention of the United Nations in the next General Assembly. But the protocols are there for any nation to champion the cause of these children and thereby enforce on this government international intervention in whatever form. The issue of slavery, of enslavement. Now, numerous, not just the bilateral, unilateral, but universal protocols against the slave trade and slavery itself. Abolitions here, abolitions there, gunboats to enforce the end of slavery, civil war in the United States to enforce the abolition of slavery, to abolish the very notion of slavery. In this country, however, the slave trade, a very brisk and clearly successful slave trade, is going on, with the markets all over the place, springing up all over the place. But in particular, the targets, the favored slaves, are children, school pupils. They are the new slaves. When those kids are taken, their parents, and sometimes the state, pays a ransom for them. Oh, well, what's the difference? It's even easier and more lucrative than taking slaves across the Atlantic. No, right now, just take them. Simple. A few kilometers into Sambisa forest or whichever other forest, sometimes even into villages where this trade is supported by some of the locals themselves. And so they say, come and buy your children back. We have them. And then when the price is not paid immediately, they even go on air and send notes to say, well, you didn't come and buy in time, so now the price has gone up. Very soon, Nigeria will be quoting slaves on the stock market. That's the next step. I don't see any difference between slavery and what is happening to school pupils today. And so, we're calling on the United Nations to intervene and stop this slave trade. And so I wish to exhort these very meticulous human rights people to also insist on the slavery aspect, emphasize it as additional reason for UN intervention.